How did our first production at the farm go? I'll tell you all about it in this video. If you remember, we picked up our first flock of 2,000 chicks, actually 2013 chicks to be exact, and brought them to the farm on September 19th. These were improved breeds of the local indigenous chicken, which takes about 90 days to reach a slaughter weight. We currently have 2 chicken barns with about 1,000 capacity each. So for brooding, we just partition each barn into smaller quarters where we place the chicks. We then administered all the necessary initial vaccines. A few chicks had arrived weakened, and we lost several of them in the first few days. For feed, we used commercial chick mash for the first 14 days. And on day 15th, we switched to feed that we mix ourselves on the farm with the help of a technician. Everything went well overall, and by the 75th day, some of the chicken had reached a slaughter weight, so we started selling them. And by December 19th, around the 94th day, we had sold all the chickens, a total of 1,892 chickens. So in the end, we had an overall mortality rate of about 6%, which was higher than our target of 5%. But for a first production, I think it's okay. The process, however, was not all that smooth, and we did run into several issues that were costly to our bottom line. The first issue was cannibalism among the flock in one of the barns, and we lost almost 50 chicks. So about half of the overall mortality came from this episode of cannibalism. But we were able to stop it by adjusting the diet a bit and by debeaking the birds, which I was really trying to avoid, but we had no choice. The second issue we ran into was running out of feed. This was one of those avoidable mistakes if we were keeping proper records from the start. We bought up front all the quantities needed for the entire 90 days, but then we ran out of feed with 2 weeks to go, which is not okay. So naturally, I started to wonder if the employees were stealing from me, but I honestly don't think so. One thing I know is that for a while, the amount of feed they were giving per bird was higher than the amount recommended. Plus, the employees were not adjusting the amount of feed with the mortality. And by the time we found out and adjusted, it was already going on for a while. If our record keeping was up to par, we would have avoided this costly mistake. The third issue was leader management. The technician insisted that we keep a shallower leader and change it every 2 weeks, which I knew was not right, but I decided to follow his advice anyways. But on hindsight, this was a big mistake because it was costly since the leader is expensive to change and it disturbed the birds. One thing I learned, including this one, is that there are many counterproductive practices in farming in my country, most likely in yours too. So we have to educate ourselves to avoid outdated practices in order to make sure that our farms are productive. These were very costly mistakes for sure, but they were also learning opportunities, and we did learn a lot. And because of these mistakes, we made a small operating profit and a negative net profit. This was our first batch, and I'm satisfied with these results. We'll make adjustments for our next batch and get right back to it. I will make a separate video about our goals for 2023, but here's a quick summary of what we have planned. First, we'll switch to broilers. We learned a lot about the market, and now we know that there is a strong demand for broilers because restaurants were asking if we have broilers. So our next flock will be broilers. Second, we would like to incorporate BSF larvae in the feed formulation for the next batch. We have already cleaned and disinfected the barns, but we'll wait to stock enough BSF larvae to replace at least 25% of the soja needed for our consumption. We are on track to do that by the end of February, so we'll restock in the first week of March. Third, there seems to be a strong demand from restaurants that want slaughtered chicken ready to be cooked. So we will set up a small chicken processing unit, clean and efficient, on the farm to cater to the needs of those who would like us to slaughter the chickens for them. Stay tuned for the video about our goals for 2023. We knew this would be hard and time consuming, but we also knew and are still convinced that this will be rewarding. So we'll press on. Thank you for all the encouragement and kind words. Keep following us and see you soon. So long.